What's up, Brozones? Welcome to the Ozone and welcome to another Gravity Falls video. It has been a while. Yes, I know. I am very sorry. I kind of just ended the series and it was kind of an abrupt ending. But we are now in phase 2 of the Gravity Falls series on this channel. Yeah, it's only phase 2 and we've already done a lot of videos on it. But I do plan to make more because I am really loving this series. I actually haven't touched it in like 2 months. I'll get onto that in a second. But I'm loving Gravity Falls, and it apparently only gets better, really, because, well, first of all, I'm really excited to get into the books, but we're not going to get there yet. I would say that's phase 3. I would say phase 3 is properly diving deep into the books. I'm hoping to get Book of Bill eventually as well. So we'll get there eventually. We'll get caught up, don't worry. But right now is what I would call phase 2, and this is kind of like the clear up phase, right? This is the part where there's a lot of things that happened in the series of Gravity Falls, which kind of happened outside the series in a way. Obviously, I've heard a lot about the real life ARG. That was something that I knew about going into Gravity Falls. I knew that there was an ARG that happened in real life. I just don't know anything about it. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of watch some videos on that, hear some people talk to me about that. I still need to do my big season 2 lore hunt. That is going to come very soon. I am currently working on it. And I think just anything and everything else that I kind of missed in the 2 seasons of Gravity Falls before we get into the books. So I think welcome to phase 2. But in phase 2, we are also going to be kind of just having fun with it, I think. And that's one of the reasons I want to do today's video, is because I think it's nice that we've watched the entirety of the series, but I'm sure you guys would like to hear my opinion on it. Not just theories, but like opinions on the series, because it was a show that I watched. What are my opinions on it? I'm sure you would love to hear that. So today, we are going to be doing a tier list of every single Gravity Falls episode in the series. Yeah, I know it's been a while. I have been very busy. I am doing exams, or what do you guys call it in the US? I forgot. I'm doing tests and stuff. And on my recent one, I've done a mock exam and I got 72%. Bam, bam. That's the first time someone has dabbed in the last decade, I'm sure. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in real life. So at the moment, video production might be slow, but I'm sure that kind of, I would say maybe end of December going into the new year, it's going to be rapid again, I think. I think I'm going to try and get back on the grind. And yeah, a lot of Gravity Falls content. And if there are any like horror games or like horror rabbit holes or something that you would like to see me watch or play or theorize about, I would love to do that. I'm kind of at the stage in my YouTube career where FNAF, I feel like I've kind of done too much of FNAF, and it's not that I want to quit it necessarily, but it's the sort of thing where like I feel like I'm maturing more as a YouTuber, and I kind of just want to experiment more and kind of branch out to different horizons. And there are also like fully scripted videos that I'm working on as well in the background. I've just got so much to do, man. So I apologize for all of that. But FNAF is still going to be a thing. Probably just not as much as it used to be, which is unfortunate, but whatever. Yeah, any other like things that you want me to watch or anything, let me know in the comments. And let's get into this tier list. Okay, so as I say, it has been a little bit since I've watched all of these episodes, but I think that's going to be a clear indicator of what's a good episode and what's not. And that's going to be like, is it memorable? Is it something that I remember being good? Is it something where I can remember the plot very well, etc. I'm very sorry because these... Oh, I don't want to print. I don't want to print. These what the hell is going on? These are very small, I apologize, but I'm going to try and zoom in a bit. So, I'm sure you know the episodes off by heart anyway. I can't actually remember the order of the episodes. I remember a lot of the episodes individually, but I can't remember where they really come. All I remember is season 1. I remember episodes like 1 to 8, and then after that, it's a complete blur. And then out of nowhere, Dreamscaperers happens. So I can't really remember. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bottomless Pit, Boyz Crazy, the episode that I absolutely. We'll get onto that. So we're gonna start with episode number 1, Tourist Trapped. I will say, Tourist Trapped, it got me hooked on the show, and that is a really big thing. Like, I think the big thing about starting new shows, especially on like the Disney Channel and stuff like that, is you need to get your audience as early as possible. You need to try and kind of, you need to get a hook that they can cling on, because they can easily watch the first episode, not be interested, and then like they wouldn't watch the rest of the series. So what's the point of making the whole series if they're not going to continue after episode 1? So it's like episode 1 needs to grab your attention, and the way that it grabbed my attention was by Journal 3 being very mysterious, was by the characters being introduced and being lovable. And of course there is the cliffhanger. I wouldn't say it's a cliffhanger, but like the tease at the end with Grunkle Stan going down to his basement through the vending machine. So that those 3 things especially, they really hit the mark with that. I think that it was a really, really good episode for that. Really love the characters in it. The gnomes are hilarious, and it's just a really cool concept for an episode, and it just sets up the rest of the series as well. And it also provides you that kind of that base layer of like, we can go back to this, right? And we see that at the end of the series, Mabel gets a grappling hook that she got in episode 1, and of course Dipper gets the hat. And even that, like, even Dipper choosing the hat and Mabel choosing the grappling hook kind of shows their characters. So it's like, it's the character development phase for sure, or like the character introduction phase, and they did it so well. Is it an S? That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. I'm going to put it in A right now. If we don't get many S's, which I'm sure will not be the case, I would put it in S. But it's definitely an A or an S. Like, if there was an in-between, I would put it in the in-between. I think it's genuinely fabulous. I think it really got my attention. The second episode, Legend of the Gobblewonker. By the way, I don't know how controversial this is going to be. It's probably going to be full of hot takes. So I apologize. I can only apologize for that. But this is my opinion at the end of the day. This does not represent anybody else in the community. This is literally me doing my thing. And if you agree, then you agree. If you don't, then you don't. But episode number 2, The Legend of the Gobblewonker. For a while, this was my favorite episode. For a while. But but right now, I'm thinking, this cannot go in S. You know what? I'm going to be an idiot here. I'm going to put both episode 1 and 2 in the S tier. I think that that's the smartest thing to do with my opinion right now. So let me tell you why. If I can find the words for it. Episode number 2, The Legend of the Gobblewonker, was kind of just, it was very relaxed, and it wasn't very lore heavy. But you go into it and you learn about what they're going to be doing this episode. They go into the fishing or whatever, and then it kind of just starts from there. And then you got the option of Soos or Grunkle Stan, and then they go with Soos, and then Grunkle Stan's doing his own thing over here, and then Soos and the kids are on this Scuttlebutt Island or something. What is it called? I can't remember what it was called. Return to Scuttlebutt Island? Yeah, I think it's Scuttlebutt. I can't remember. But it's really, really cool that there's kind of a lot of things going on with the two sides. Like, I think sometimes in some later episodes, there are things that happen to some characters that's kind of like completely out of the way of the rest of the episode, which, like, it's fine, but like I kind of want it all to be kind of intertwined and then it all come together at the end. I don't know. But I thought that they did the characters really well in episode 2 as well. The gobblewonker was threatening, or like it felt like a big threat. And the reason I say that is because it's set up quite early, like, oh, there's this gobblewonker, old man McGucket. Yeah, it's set up quite early that there's like this monster in the lake, and that alone is quite mysterious and quite scary. And then you kind of have the fake out of like old man McGucket built this machine, and then all of a sudden at the end of the episode it's turned on its head, and oh no, there is actually a monster down in this lake. It kind of, like the whole character building thing, where they have to try and build the character. It's actually more world building. This is, I think, it's building the world of Gravity Falls as we know it. I think that this episode really helped to kind of show that Gravity Falls isn't what it initially seems, or it is what it initially seems. I don't know. It's full of monsters. Like even if you find out that one of the monsters is a robot, the real monster still is real. It still exists. I'm blabbering on. I really like The Legend of the Gobblewonker. I think that it has some amazing jokes. The camera jokes are so funny. The what was the Grunkle Stan joke in that? My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better, or something like that. I've seen too many memes of that now. It was all over my Twitter for a while. That and Grunkle Stunkle wins the Funkle Bunkle, or something like that. But yeah, Gobblewonker S tier, I would say. I don't know. I'm a bit annoyed at that, actually. I'm going to put it A, because I feel like I'm going to be perceived very bad for putting an S, but I guess I've already done it, but whatever. Okay, here's how it's going to go. Episode 1, S. Episode 2, A. I need to be more decisive. That's done. That is done. Headhunters. So Headhunters, my initial thoughts. What's my initial thought? I'm going to put it, you might be surprised at this, I'm going to put it in C. This was an episode that, I thought that, again, the world building and the character building here was amazing, because it kind of showed you all of the people in town. I heard something from Alex Hirsch himself. He said that like a lot of this was inspired by things like The Simpsons and stuff like that. And the fact that The Simpsons has like this whole cast of characters that all kind of like live in this town, and they interact like in different episodes and stuff. Like he was trying to build that sort of town that's quite consistent, and all of the characters like interact with each other later on. I really admire that. So I think that's a really big positive of this episode, is we get to meet a lot of the people in town. But like the downside of it is I don't know how to put it. Sometimes it's going to be hard for me to put words to the feeling, because it is just a feeling. I hope you kind of understand that. But like this one, the vibe was a little bit off for me. It feels quite different to the first 2 episodes in the sense that it's not really like it goes from gnomes and like this huge gnome monster to a huge lake monster who turns out to not be real. But no, wait, actually it is real, but they just don't know. And then it goes to living wax figures. It's kind of a weird, like, I don't know. It feels like just kind of like a filler episode. I do filler in quotation marks, because I don't think any episode is like fully filler. But it just kind of, it went by. It just kind of happened. And I'm okay with it. It's a fine episode. It's just like, it doesn't blow my mind at all. But it was still funny. And the fact that Larry King comes back in the last few episodes of season 2 is crazy, knowing that he was in the vents all that time. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of this video. The hand that rocks the Mabel. What happens in this? Oh, this is when we meet Gideon. Okay. So Gideon as a character, I really hated. I think. I really hated in season 1, but then in season 2 he was sort of redeemed. I wouldn't say fully redeemed, but like the part where he pulls up in his truck or whatever, and he's like, Dipper, I need to get to Mabel or something, and then Dipper actually helps him by saying, like, if you want her to love you, then do this and that. But yeah, I what would I put the hand rocks the Mabel? The hand that rocks the Mabel in. I would put it B, I would say. Good introduction to Gideon. No, you know what? I'm going to put it in A. I need to be more decisive. I'm going to put this A. And the reason for that is because good introduction to Gideon, as I just said. But I think the biggest thing in this is, like, I wasn't that surprised all the way through it. But then, okay, fine. I'm going to put it B. I'm sorry. You're probably so annoyed. My brain is just ticking. Maybe I need to take a second before choosing. So, I think that it was a really good setup for Gideon. I think that Gideon was set up to be really freaking annoying right from the start. The reason I would put it B is because I know that I'm going to put a lot of episodes in A, and I know that I'm going to put a lot of episodes in S. And I don't think that this quite gets up to that level. But the reason it is boosted so much, because it's an okay episode all the way through, but the reason it goes to B and not down to D or whatever is because of that freaking ending where it's revealed that Gideon has book number 2. And I think that is that's such an inflection point in the series, because it's when you realize, like, there's a lot more to these journals. Like, who is the author? Why are there multiple journals? Where is the first journal? And stuff like that. It's like, it really starts to make you question a lot of the series. I guess from episode 1, you already kind of question the series. But then in this episode, episode 4, it's kind of like the flip switch of, like, hang on a second, there's some theorizing to do here. There's more to these books than we first thought. And so I think that's very interesting. And of course, it sets up, like, there's a book number 1. Who has book number 1? And then at the end of the series, we find out Grunkle Stan has book number 1. So I think that's why it's a B and not a C or a D. I think it's a great episode. It's great. The inconveniencing. Ooh, what do I say about this one? There's some great jokes in this one. Wendy's character really shines in this one. So does Robbie as well. Of course, this is the first time we meet Robbie and his gang. The inconveniencing, I would say, goes... I wasn't too fond of it. It's not entirely memorable. I would say C, probably. It's just, again, it's one of those ones I'm not all too crazy about. The joke about the rappers, what did they say? It's like, homework sucks, music rules, tucking in your shirts for fools, or something like that. I forgot what the actual one is, but I know that line is correct. Tucking in your shirts for fools. That's so funny. And the Lammy dance as well is really good. Yeah, the inconveniencing is just, again, it's one of those, it's a weirder episode. I think you can kind of see here, like, I like the episodes with the cryptids and the big monsters and stuff, the big threats. Whereas this seems like a load of teens go into, I guess, though, it is quite threatening because everybody kind of like disappears into, like, one of them becomes a hot dog and another one is trapped in an arcade machine or something like that. Like, it is quite spooky. I didn't connect with it on the same level as a lot of the other ones, I would say. I really feel like I need to justify a lot of these opinions. I'm trying to, but it's quite difficult to kind of piece together what exactly my argument is. Either way, let's move on. Dipper versus manliness. Okay. I would say this goes an A. Should we do an order? Okay, so I'm gonna do this is the best of A, this is the worst of A, and then this is the best of C, this is the worst of C. I would say that's accurate. So Dipper versus manliness, top of A. Top of A. This is the episode where I realized this show is freaking hilarious. It was so good. Again, another like inflection point in the series for me, or at least in my mindset of the series, where like this is genuinely funny. I was laughing my arse off. Arse. I was laughing my head off. There we go. That's the saying. Laughing my socks off. There's multiple sayings of that. I was laughing so much during this episode because there was just so many funny jokes. Some that come to mind are like the names of the Manitors. First of all, Manitor is funny. The names of the Manitors, it's like Pubertus, Testosterus or something like that. I like it's funny. It's funny names and like the whole. It's like like toxic masculinity is like a big theme in this, and it's really funny to see how far they go with it. But it's really funny. The multi-bear as well is quite a threatening enemy, but then they kind of find a similarity with each other, and so Dipper doesn't kill the multi-bear. Disco girl, coming through. That girl is you. Is that Elmo? I think Elmo just came out of me. Okay. Anyway, I'm putting it top of A because I just loved all of the jokes in this, and this was a big episode for me, where I'm thinking, like after watching the inconveniencing on that episode of my reaction, I was like, yeah, Gravity Falls is alright. There's some cool mysteries in it, I'm sure. There's some codes I have to decode. Fantastic. Then I watched Dipper versus Manliness, and my whole opinion changed. It was genuinely just like, this show is freaking amazing. I am so hooked. I need to continue watching. It wasn't lore heavy at all. It was just really well done, I think. I think it achieved what it wanted to achieve. But yeah, I would say like if there was one critique I had against it, it's very Dipper focused. I can't quite remember what happened to the rest of the characters in that. Were they just sat in the cafe the whole time? I can't remember. But oh yeah, that's the one where Grunkle Stan asks out Lazy Susan, I think. Even that, like, I feel like it's just kind of like it's like a side plot almost. Like it's not really connected at all, but whatever. Double Dipper as well. Like I think this session of my reaction, where I did Dipper versus Manliness, Double Dipper, Irrational Treasure, it's definitely a very memorable one because I think all 3 episodes were funny and like had a lot of like mysterious parts in it. This is the one where we find out Dipper's name is because he has a birthmark on his forehead of the Big Dipper. So Double Dipper, I would put in B. I think I would put it top of B. Top of B. There we go. Top of B. Really, really funny episode again. What is there to say about this one? Oh my gosh, the Big Dipper, the big skinny Dipper, with Wendy, trying to do the dance. Oh, that was a sight. But the plot of it was really funny. This is also where we met Pacifica, if I'm not mistaken, and I hated her at first, but I came to love her at the end. I think it was just a very good, like, above average episode. I genuinely just think that's it. I think hopefully you will agree with this. I think it was just a great episode. Full stop. There was nothing that I really hated about the episode. There was nothing that I really, really liked about the episode. It was just really well done. And the concept of it as well, it is also something I should mention. Like, the concept of all of these episodes as well, it's very very well thought out. And I've heard that Alex Hirsch actually didn't have a lot of time making these episodes. He was like, oh, I need to quickly come up with a thing for an episode. I thought for an episode, an idea for an episode. So it's quite impressive that he came up with what he came up with. But I think Double Dipper is really, really good. I really, really liked it. So there you go. But obviously not as much as these. When I say I really, really liked it, I don't mean I really, really, really liked it. I really, 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 really... Irrational Treasure. This is so hard. Why did I do this? This is really difficult. Irrational Treasure. Oh, I don't know how to do this. It was really good for the mystery. I would put it here. The Irrational Treasure mystery was really cool, and I really loved looking at the details in Irrational Treasure as well. I think that it was just it was amazing to kind of see, like they mentioned alchemy, they mentioned numerology, they mentioned hieroglyphics, they mentioned the time baby as well and stuff like that. It was like foreshadowing. And yeah, I think that the concept was good. I think actually more of Gravity Falls could have been like this, where it's literally just like a hunt for irrational treasure. But then the reason I think this is also good is because Mabel literally like stumbles her way into all of the clues and stuff like that. And the reason that she ends up finding everything is because the person behind it all was just like Mabel. And that is one thing that I have a little bit of a problem with in this episode is Tremblay. Quentin Tremblay, I think it is. The president. I don't know. I can't remember which president it is. It's like 18 and a half president or something. I don't know. But I think that he could have come back or something. It felt really out of place. Like I don't really get the plot to this day. He was kind of in this amber. He was in this amber, and then they come in, they save him from the amber. He's still crazy. He gives the president's key, which is never actually used, which is really funny, by the way. I don't know. It just kind of came out of nowhere and then nothing ever came of it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be too harsh on it because it was still a really funny episode, and I thought he was really funny as a character. I just didn't think in the whole continuity of the show, this episode really fit in with the others. I think it was a very different episode. It had a different kind of style to it, different theme, and it just felt a little out of place. But I still think it was a good episode. Like anything at this point, anything CBAS, good episode. But like when we're looking at C, I'm thinking good episode, but there are definitely flaws with it. D is just, I did not like this episode, which I feel like there could be 2 or 3 that go in D at the end of this. We'll see. But not this one, boys. The Time Traveler's Pig going straight in S. Oh my god, this is one of my favorite episodes in the entire series. And here is why. First of all, Waddles. Waddles is amazing. Waddles is my favorite character. You cannot stop me from loving Waddles. No, the reason I love this episode is because it sets up this whole time travel spiel that can happen. Not only does it set up the time traveling, it sets up Blendin, which of course he had Easter eggs and stuff, which is insane. I loved that. And of course, it sets up Ford. We see Ford this early in the entire series, which is crazy foreshadowing. It's really, really cool. We see the shot of the Mystery Shack, which isn't the Mystery Shack at this point. We see it in the snow. and he comes out and he looks a little bit like Grunkle Stan. We theorized that looks like Grunkle Stan, so it's probably Grunkle Stan from a while back, but no, it was actually Ford. But yeah, and then yeah, so it sets up the time traveling, it sets up Ford, it sets up Blendin, and sets up Waddles. But I think the reason I love this episode is because of one kind of like elongated scene, and that's the scene of Dipper trying to stop Robbie and Wendy getting together. And that's like a big thing for him. Of course, that would be something that's very rational in his, well, it's not rational, but it's something you would expect the character to do, right? So Dipper tries, and then he finds out he can try again, so he tries again, and then he does the math, and he works out there's one possibility out of freaking 50 million, Doctor Strange style. And then you realize that in that one universe, Mabel doesn't get her pig. And that is why this episode is an S. Because it was heartbreaking. Oh my gosh, I still have the scene of Mabel banging her head against whatever that thing was. Was it a totem pole? I think she was just banging her head against that totem pole for literally like years. And that was so heartbreaking. And it just... that was the first time in the series I was really on the verge of tears. First of many, I would say. We'll get to those episodes. But no, I think that scene of kind of Dipper finding out there's one way he can win, but then by him winning, Mabel has to lose. And then him realizing he kind of has to sacrifice this in order to make her sister win. It's heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. So I think that it's a really well balanced episode. There's a lot going on in it, and also the scene at the end where Grunkle Stan in the Grunkle Dunkle, I think it is. Grunkle Skunkle wins the Grunkle Dunkle. Yeah, I think with the laser as well, it was foreshadowed. I think that it was a really good episode overall, and it was my favorite for a long time, I would say. Going on now to Fight Fighters. Now, you guys are all expecting me to put this in probably top of A, bottom of S. I would say that's probably where a lot of you guys would probably put it. I might surprise you with this. I think Fight Fighters might be bottom of B. Yeah, I think that's probably... I'm okay with that. And here's why. I think Fight Fighters... first of all, I didn't grow up with like the fighting arcade games. Also, I'm not old enough to have played in like arcades or anything like that. So I think while the style is cool and while I understood a lot of the references and jokes and stuff, I didn't think I don't think I related to it as well as a lot of other people in the series. With that being said, there were a lot of funny jokes, and the theme and the concept of the episode was fabulous. I just didn't connect with it. And that's going to be my answer for a lot of these. And I apologize once again for just having a feeling. But unfortunately, I can't kind of rational. I can't. Yeah. English. Words. English. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So I hope you're okay with that. But yeah, once again, still a really funny episode. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else. Oh yeah, there was Grunkle Stan's fear of heights that never came back. Do you remember when Grunkle Stan was... there was some point where he was high up, wasn't there? I can't remember. But it I don't know. It just comes up with, like, out of nowhere, Grunkle Stan has a fear of heights. Just for this episode. Just for this episode. I also liked the joke of, like, The ladder joke. Wasn't it like, do you not have a ladder? And it's like, no. I can't remember. I can't remember. It was like, no, but I shoot people who have ladders. I can't remember. That was a really bad attempt at that joke, but it was quite funny. Let's just move on. Little Dipper. So this is an episode that I'm going to be completely honest, I tend to forget exists. It's kind of just a blur in my mind. That doesn't mean it's bad. That just means it's not very memorable in the sense of like it wasn't very plot heavy, and it wasn't something that completely blew my mind. With that being said, I think that the crystal that enlarges and what is the opposite of enlarge? Enlarges and shrinks, I guess. The enlarging and shrinking crystal was a really, really cool concept, and I like how it also came back later on in season 2. And yeah, I think that the concept is really good because obviously Gideon returns, and he does this to it's something that again Gideon would do, and it's something that is quite smart for Gideon to do, I would say. I think that it's a good episode. It's just where to put it is the issue, and it's only going to get harder from here on out. Little Dipper. Okay, let's start comparing. Is it better than Double Dipper? I would say no. Is it better than Hand the Rocks to Mabel? I would actually say yeah. I think maybe it goes here. So you're probably wondering why I've done that. I think these are obviously the two Gideon episodes that we got so far in season 1. Why is this one better than this one? I think I can externalize those thoughts, and I think that it's because Gideon's character was it felt more developed in the second one. I think he felt more like a character in Little Dipper. I don't know how to say this actually. I don't know. I think it's mainly just like maybe it's because he was already developed as a character and he didn't need that character building in order to, like in this episode, in order to understand who he was. I think because maybe we already knew who he was and that he was an absolute son of a gun. But yeah, he seemed in this episode very evil, and we understood his motive, I think, and it was just very clear what was happening at every point in this. I think it's just a really well-rounded episode. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put that. So yeah, moving on now to Summerween. Obviously, Halloween has... I was just about to say Halloween has just gone by. Nope, it has been 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since I've recorded an episode or uploaded. Oh my god. Oh no. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, obviously the last episode of my reaction series premiered on Halloween, which, by the way, is insane considering that was exactly 2 months after I started, and that it was Halloween, so I could dress up. Like, it gave me an excuse to dress up, and that premiere was so good. Thank you guys ever so much for being there. There was genuinely like 600 people in the chat at one point. It was wild. I wish if I could do it all again, I would. But Summerween. Why is there a fly? Summerween was a really cool concept. I'm surprised Summerween doesn't exist IRL. I mean, maybe it does now because of Gravity Falls. But why don't we have like a summer scary sound effects. Because if you think about it, Halloween is kind of weird because Halloween's in fall. It's the time of the year where it starts to get really like bitter cold outside. So why do we do like trick or treating and stuff? I guess maybe because it's darker earlier in Halloween. I don't know. I don't know. But Summerween, the episode Summerween, was pretty good. Here's something I have negative against it, I guess, is the character design of the Summerween monster. Forgot what he's called actually. He's such an intimidating design. I mean, look at him right here, right? Oh my god, am I gonna print again? No! Oh my god. Here, Summerween. This character, really menacing. I mean, look at this shot. Even he's like the streets around him is blue and dark and grim, and then he's in the spotlight, and he's got this shadow, and he's like a scarecrow, and he's got like a little face on him, and it's a really cool and intimidating design. But then, by the end of the episode, they kind of just ruin it. They kind of go back on all of it, and now he's like this Summerween slug monster. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to this character. I feel like he just kind of got ruined. It would have been a more creepy episode. There is that one shot where he's like flying over the car and he looks like a spider. That, I will admit, terrifying. But I think they just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like what happened? So here's what I mean, right? This is what he looks like initially. So he's like really creepy. He's like a slug, like a worm slug with like a mask on and a big pointy hat, and he has like a really creepy body shape and stuff. Like even shots like this, he's very spider-like. Look at that. That is such cool art. And like, oh my god, on the lamp, that is freaking sick. And then this happens. Wait, I'm ruining it. This happens. What the hell is this? Like, if you showed me this before I ever watched Gravity Falls, and you showed me this character and you showed me this character, I would not think that they are the same. Absolutely not. How are these two the same? So, and this, I will admit, a lot less scary than this, I think, personally. I mean, there could be an argument that it is more scary, but I think this is just a creepier design, and there was a lot of potential with this that I don't think was fully fulfilled because it just turned into this. I personally, and again, I want to emphasize, personally, didn't enjoy this monster, but I think that the rest of the episode was pretty good. I think that it was an average episode with a below average monster at the end, but the opportunity or like the potential to have an above average. So it that makes it really difficult to place in this. I'm thinking B. I think it's better than Fight Fighters. I think I might prefer it a little bit more than The Hand That Rocks the Mabel. I'm going to put it here. I don't think Little Dipper is worse than Summerween. I think maybe Summerween could just be like standard, like bog average Gravity Falls episode. Like it's an episode that happens in Gravity Falls. There we go. Like I think it is just like your standard Gravity Falls episode. So that's probably why I'm putting it in B. I do want you guys to let me know what you guys put as well. If you want to, you can join my Discord in the description below, or you can follow me on Twitter, also in the description below. And I want you to do this tier list and send me a picture of it, I will retweet, I will comment on it, I will like it or whatever. Well, I might not like it, but I will react to it respectively. Well, both respectfully and respectively. So I would love to see what you guys pick for this, and it would be really cool to see like a community opinion. Maybe I even do this with some friends of mine who have seen Gravity Falls, and we can compare. Because I think I probably have a lot of hot takes. I know when it comes to FNAF books, I have hot takes. Because I've done this sort of thing with FNAF books, and people have not liked it. But oh well. But yeah, that's my opinion on Summerween, at least. Boss Mabel. Once again, an episode that I completely forgot existed. I feel like that's going to happen a lot for the rest of the season 1 episodes. Boss Mabel, where do I put this? It was a really good and funny episode. Oh boy, this is hard. I would say it goes here. Still in the B tier, but above Little Dipper and below Double Dipper. I would say, I don't even know. Is that what I feel? This is the first one where I don't really know how to feel, but I feel like that is appropriate. I feel like that's an appropriate place for it, because it's a great concept for an episode. It's Mabel is trying to be the boss of everything, because she feels like she can do a better job. I don't know what just happened there. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mabel thinks that she can do a better job than Grunkle Stan, but then it turns out that she turns into Grunkle Stan later on. That is fantastic. Like a fantastic concept for an episode. It's also great foreshadowing because, as we've been saying, Grunkle Stan and Mabel are kind of like one and the same. History repeats itself. So I really like that aspect of it. What didn't I like about it? Again, I think it's just forgettable. I can't quite place why. I can't place a finger on why it's forgettable, but it's forgettable. Do you guys feel the same? So moving on now, something that's definitely not forgettable because I hear it or I see it on my Twitter every other day. Bottomless Pit, where Grunkle Stunkle wins the Funkle Bunkle. Bottomless Pit. Oh, what do I do about this? Okay, I'm going to say it right now. I don't like Bottomless Pit. I don't like it. And the reason is because it's a completely different format to the other episodes, or just to the rest of the series, really. Apart from, what's it called? Little Gift Shop of Horrors as well. We'll get onto that, but I think Bottomless Pit, for me, I don't like it. Or I don't like it in the same way that I like the other episodes. That's why I'm going to put it as D. And again, D doesn't mean this is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is absolutely atrocious. It just means I didn't really connect with it. I don't like it. I think it definitely has a lot of good moments in it. It has a lot of potential, but it doesn't pass for me as a great episode. But the thing is, like, I know with this, I know 100% that there are people out there who love this episode, and go you. Like, I'm completely fine with that. Because it has its redeeming qualities, for sure. There are some hilarious jokes in this. Each story is really funny. The gold teeth, oh my god, the gold teeth is the redeeming quality of this. The truth teeth, where they put it in Grunkle Stan's mouth, and he's like, I have committed tax fraud. And then, is that the episode with the driving bear as well? I think that is the same, the truth teeth. Like, it's not a terrible episode. It just feels like 4 episodes in one. Like, it feels like the scrapped stories. If you've read the FNAF books, it kind of feels like Felix the Shark in a way. I mean, not in the same way, but like Felix the Shark essentially was a scrapped FNAF book. It was exactly the same as all the other books, but it felt really different and really like meta because it was a scrapped book, and so it wasn't like fully canon, but it was also connected in some ways, but it was really weird. Bottomless Pit kind of feels like that because it's a bunch of people telling stories, and I feel like those stories could have had amazing potential in their own episodes, but they never go anywhere with it. It's just kind of like a 2-minute story about these golden teeth that make you tell the truth, and Grunkle Stan has committed several... What's the rest of that sentence? Has committed several acts, I guess, acts of terrorism. No, not terrorism. Tax evasion. Maybe terrorism too. Yeah, I just feel like the stories... I don't think it's the right format for this show. Which is... I think it's fine. But the idea of the bottomless pit is really funny. The deep end is next. Once again, one that I completely forgot about. The lifeguard in this is really funny. I forget his freaking name, and you guys are going to hate me for that. Mr... I can't remember. If this is premiered, you guys are all going to tell me in the chat, and I'm going to look like a freaking idiot. Anyway, the deep end. Momando is funny as a concept. Of course, Mabel falls in love with Momando. And then, oh my god, the bit at the end where Dipper blows water in Momando's mouth to save him. But then they're like a few feet away from the shore. That's so funny. The deep end, I am going to put at the top of C. I didn't like this one as much. I don't think the jokes hit as well. I think this was kind of like the part of the series where it just felt a little bit slow episode by episode. It didn't feel like we were getting anywhere with the actual story, like the main arc of the entire series. It felt like we were getting nowhere, and these episodes were really like one-off, and just that it didn't hit right. Again, this episode has a lot of redeeming qualities. I've put it at the top of C rather than the bottom of C or D. I think that the lifeguard made it really funny. I think that Gideon versus Grunkle Stan trying to get the seat in time and stuff. I really loved the idea that Dipper was going to the pool for some reason at night, and then literally everybody else turns up for completely different reasons. It's so funny. But there you go. I think, and also the joke of like, hey look, Wendy in a bathing suit or whatever. Yeah, a lot of memorable parts in it, for sure. It just didn't feel, it didn't click. It didn't click together. All right, Carpet DM. Once again, an episode that didn't click. What happened in this episode, man? I don't know. You know what? I'm going to be really, really mean here. And I'm really, really sorry to the creators of the show if you're watching. I mean, you're not, but I'm going to put it top of D. It's better than the Bottomless Pit because it's the same format as all the other episodes. I just don't really like Carpet DM. I don't understand it really. There's the whole thing of like, yeah, they're switching bodies, great. The really funny joke where Mabel is in Dipper's body and Grunkle Stan is telling her/him about like puberty and stuff. I think that's really funny. But this episode is just like crazy from start to finish. I didn't know what was happening. I thought it was a bit of a mess. For some reason, the policeman came into the mystery shack. For some reason, Soos changes with a pig, and then a woman falls in love with Pig Soos. There's just so much that goes on. Even Old Man McGucket comes in and changes. Does he change? Who does he change with? I can't remember. And Grenda and Candy are there as well. I don't know. It felt a little bit all over the place. I think that's the only reason. Again, really funny jokes. It just felt all over the place. And speaking of all over the place, I am really, really sorry to do this. I feel so bad. D doesn't mean it's terrible. D just means I'm fine with it, but it didn't hit me. Boyz crazy. No, that is not it. You know what? I'm going to put it below bottomless pit. Yeah, maybe controversial even. No, Boyz crazy. I think my least favorite episode in season 1. I didn't like it. There was nothing I liked about it. Maybe that is a bit too harsh. Although, is that the one? Yeah, that has to be the one where Robbie has the backwards message, the subliminal messaging in his music. And he's like, Wendy, Wendy. And then you reverse it. And it's like, Wendy, you will love me. You will adore me. Yeah, Boyz crazy. The concept of it, I guess, is cool. It didn't. Okay, here's why I didn't like it. And here's why there was not a connection here. It didn't feel like Gravity Falls. It felt like an entirely different show. Where are the freaking monsters? Where are the monsters in Carpet Diem in Boyz Crazy? We're kind of set up in the first few episodes of the season to think, Gravity Falls is this magical place where there's like monsters here and there. This feels more like I think maybe the problem was that there was like too much kind of like civilization show. I know that sounds really weird to say, but like they went to a concert and there were these big singers. I don't know, it just felt a bit non-Gravity Falls to me, in the sense of it didn't feel like Gravity Falls the show, and it didn't feel like Gravity Falls the place. It just felt a little bit too much, I think. I think maybe these three have that in common. I think these 3 episodes are kind of just a bit too much. Almost like they're trying too hard with it. So that's just how I feel. It's unfortunate, but there you go. Moving on now to Land Before Swine. So this was kind of overshadowed by the next 2 episodes in my reaction, I think. But Land Before Swine, great episode. I am going to put this here. Which is funny because look at all of these. It looks like it's the same background here, and it looks like it's the same background here when you zoom out. That's cool. That's really cool. I did that completely on purpose. No. Land Before Swine. The reason I love it so much, I mean, first of all, this is foreshadowed with Blendin. One of Blendin's clothing scenes is the dinosaurs, which really cool. Really cool that the amber came back as well from like Irrational Treasure. It's kind of set up that if you're frozen in amber, you're kind of frozen in time and you can stay alive or whatever. I can't remember that. But the dinosaurs, the pterodactyl that kind of stole waddles and stuff. Really good setup for an episode, actually. I think that's something I haven't mentioned really with the rest of the episodes. Is like this episode especially, the setup was amazing. The setup was that Mabel was... I can't remember what Mabel was doing, but Mabel was doing her own thing. And she was like, Grunkle Stan, you need to protect Waddles at all costs. And then, of course, he doesn't because he's Grunkle Stan. And then Waddles gets taken by the pterodactyl. Adventure begins. And like that's really, really cool. I like that Old Man McGucket comes with them on their adventure. It's really funny. He ate his way out of a dinosaur. What did he eat his way out of? No, I can't remember what he ate his way out of. Um, there was also the setup of like the police car as well that the pterodactyl tore apart. It was laying in the nest. We went through that. There were some really cool things in that episode, and that's why I think it's an A, 100%. I don't think I could put it below an A. I don't think I could put it above an A, because again, even this one wasn't that memorable, but it was just really, it was consistently good throughout, and I really liked. It felt like we were getting somewhere with the story, even though there aren't any major story components to it really. So it just felt really good, and again, the episode was just like there were loads of funny jokes in it. So there you go. I'm just remembering when Grunkle Stan in his I think it's his dream where he's protecting Waddles, and then he rips apart his clothes and punches the pterodactyl in the face or whatever. I think something like that happens. It might have been my dream where I was fantasizing about Grunkle Stan, but whatever. Dreamscaperers is next. Instant S. Maybe that's the default answer. Where do I put this? I would put it... Oh, is it better than the Time Traveler's Pig? Oh, this is where it gets hard. It has to. It has to. I still think the Time Traveler's Pig, for an episode that isn't... Like, if we're doing episodes that aren't lore heavy, Time Traveler's Pig is probably up there as one of the best. But like, of course, Dreamscaperers is like out of nowhere, it just becomes lore heavy, and it just happens. It just all happens, and it's insane. It sets up Bill Cipher. We meet Bill Cipher, of course. There is no way an episode with Bill Cipher in it can go below an A, I think. And I'm sure we're going to see that theme later on. Dreamscaperers 100% S. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'm just remembering now, it sets up the swing set from the beach from the Tale of Two Stands episode. That was so cool to find. That was such a cool find. But like, just the idea of we're now in Grunkle Stan's brain, and we're walking through like all of his memories and stuff. There was a really, really sad scene with Dipper when he heard that Grunkle Stan said like, yeah, I hate this kid, whatever. But then we find out that it was just like how he grew up or whatever. I can't even quite remember how that went. I need to rewatch all of these. I really do. And I'm not going to do a reaction. I'm not. I swear. But yeah, I think Dreamscaperers was really good. Concept is amazing. Animation as well. Fan-frickin-tastic. Really, really good. Yeah, sets up Bill Cipher. I think his jokes are really funny. What's that one thing he says? Oh my god, what is it? He's like, ha ha ha, you guys are so stupid, or something. Let me look it up. Oh, no, I've just remembered it. It's like, ha ha, it's funny how dumb you are. There you go. It's funny how dumb you are. And he also says, I'll be watching, or always, no, it's not always watching, it's I'll be watching. Yeah, and then the wheel, like, we went insane with that episode. That was so cool. And it just came out of nowhere. That's the thing. It was just like an explosion out of nowhere. I think maybe one thing about the entire series as a series is like, okay, maybe I'm talking more to season 1 here, is it's very just kind of like whiplash. It's almost whiplash, because you have one episode which it starts out like, here's this big mystery that we're going to get into, and then there's a few filler episodes, and then oh boy, that was a lore drop, and then okay, a few more episodes, and then surely this episode is going to be big. No, few okay, another episode, freaking bottomless pit, whatever that is. Okay, a few more episodes. Bam! Dreamscaperers. Literally out of nowhere. It was just... it was amazing. And if I wasn't told that that was going to be a big episode, then it would have been completely out of nowhere. Which, like, it's unfortunate that I received a few small spoilers, but I'm still very grateful for the comments being respectful about spoilers and stuff like that. And when I say minor spoilers, it really wasn't big. It was just like what episodes were good compared to other episodes, and stuff like where to find clues. Those were things that I didn't want to hear. Unfortunately, I did, and I'm very sorry if you were offended when I sort of called you out. But I never really said anything about spoilers at the beginning of the series, so I apologize for that. But I think that the series as a whole, I look back at it and there were a lot of reveals that I did not see coming. So I think it went well. But yeah, Dreamscaperers, obvious S. And then the final episode in season 1 is kind of part 2 to Dreamscaperers, Gideon Rises, where Gideon takes over the Mystery Shack. We are kind of, oh my god, this has to go S. Because I'm, top of S. Because I'm remembering some of the scenes from that, and it made me cry. It made me cry. Oh my god, I'm such a weak heart. I remember saying that quite a lot. So I remember some of the scenes where they were at Soos's grand's house, and one of the scenes in particular was where Granduncle Stan was calling Dipper and Mabel's parents, and he was saying, "Yeah, we've got enough to look after them. We've got enough food." And he opens the fridge, literally like a carton of milk or something, and he frowns a little bit, and it got me going, because that was just so emotional, so sentimental, and it really put a lot of perspective on who Granduncle Stan was and the whole family dynamic, and it made them work as a team a little bit more, because they were all kind of defeated by the Mystery Shack just kind of coming out of nowhere, like it no longer is ours. We no longer have ownership of the Mystery Shack. It's a really sweet episode, and it's a really devastating episode. Grappling Hook comes back. The Gideon robot is freaking sick. I still hated Gideon, but the robot was cool. And then, oh my god, I even forgot Blendin was in that episode. That was really random. But yeah, I think that Gideon Rises, it has to be with Dreamscaperers. I don't know if it's this or that. I think it's this. I think it's that. And I hope you guys agree, because I think the emotional part and the whole ending of it all kind of outweighs it overweighs Dreamscaperers' cool parts, I think. That's just my opinion. So there you go. All right, let me pause for a bit. Okay, so we're at the halfway point officially, and I'm sure that the rest of this video is actually going to be shorter than the first half, and that's just because it's getting tiring talking about the same thing over and over, but I think it's going to be easier to make decisions about these ones, because I think the vast majority of these are going in B, A, and S. I don't see many C's and D's in this. So let's start out with Scarioki. So when we're talking about the differences between season 1 and season 2, I think that episode... for some reason I'm out of breath. Why am I out of breath? For some reason... not for some reason. What am I talking about? Season 1. If you look at episode 1 of season 1 and compare it to episode 1 of season 2, you can kind of see the difference in tone, I think. And I think that carries forward for the rest of the seasons. So season 1 is very much like episode 1 of season 1. It's kind of like a baseline, whereas season 2 is a lot more like episode 1 of season 2 than it is episode 1 of season 1. So I think that the fact that that has happened means that episode 1 of season 2 has set up season 2, and it's a really, really good setup of season 2. Now, of course, season 2 didn't have to introduce all the characters and stuff, but like that's a big point for season 2. I mean, it still sets up like the government characters, but I think that season 2, you just kind of get straight into it. And this is the episode where Dipper finds out that Grunkle Stan knows about the strange things that happens in Gravity Falls, and that is just tragic to see. But then we finally get to see Grunkle Stan in action, and we see him battling zombies, and it is wild. One of the things that I didn't like about this episode is how they got rid of the zombies. They did a karaoke. They did karaoke, and I feel like that could have been different. There could have been a different way to get rid of all the zombies. I guess it was creative, and it was a cool addition, a funny addition as well, because they were all Alex Hirsch was trying to do the Grunkle Stan voice while singing a song. A stupid song. Like it, I loved it. I loved that. It just, in terms of the plot of the episode, it didn't hit right, I don't think. But with that being said, Scary Oki, great beginning to this season. I'm going to put it, I think it has similar vibes to Land Before Swine in a way. I think I'm going to put it next to Land Before Swine. I think it's either here or here. But I think it might be better than Dipper versus Manliness. No, I remember that episode being really good. I think it's going to go there. I think it's better than Land Before Swine by a safe margin. I wouldn't say a big margin. I think that they are very similar episodes in what they do. And I think that this is a really cool episode. I love the zombies in it. I think it's really, you know what? I'm going to go straight into the bunker. Into the bunker. Freaking above that. Into the bunker. So, as I was saying, Scary Oki kind of introduces like the fact that this season is going to be wild in many ways. It's going to be action-packed. It's going to be lore-heavy. It's going to be very focused on Grunkle Stan, and like the mystery behind the mystery that Grunkle Stan has been hiding. I think it was wild that we got that episode, and then straight after we got Into the Bunker. Absolutely insane. Such an insane episode. So what do I do with Into the Bunker? It might have to go bottom of S. I'm going to put it top of A. That could change. Here's the thing. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Tourist Trapped in A, and I'm going to put Into the Bunker in S, and I'm also going to get rid of this ad. Or maybe not, because I just can't. Well, that's unfortunate. There's going to be an ad here now. Haha! I managed to inspect elements. I didn't realize you could do that. That's really cool. Saves me a lot of editing hassle. But there you go. So I think Into the Bunker is probably S, bottom of S. And I think Tourist Trapped is top of A. I think, as I was saying at the beginning of this video, I think Tourist Trapped is between an A and an S. I can't really tell what it is. I think it's just a great introduction to the whole series. And okay, we're going to do a little changing here, because I think I've messed up by putting Tourist Trapped in the complete wrong place. And I also think Dipper versus Manliness could go down with it, because now I'm realizing, like, these season 2 episodes, I'm starting to understand, like, season 1 as a whole, it felt very different. It felt very plain. It felt very vanilla. I'm going to put Dipper vs. Manliness there, along with Tourist Trapped. Might even do this. I'm going to keep it like that. And then Scarioki top of A, Into the Bunker just above that. Yeah, Into the Bunker was just wild. Again, the lore-heavy stuff. The shapeshifter was quite an interesting character, actually. And the fact that it shapeshifted into Wendy, that moment for me was like, bum, 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 bum. You have to choose the right Wendy. But of course, Dipper knows Wendy. And of course, we finally get the conclusion of Dipper and Wendy. Great. Let's go. That was really satisfying. That was a really, really satisfying ending to that. Because it was really heartwarming, and Wendy took it very well. And Dipper, I feel like that resulted in Dipper gaining a lot of confidence. So I think there was a wealth of confidence that he got from that. So yeah, cool. Next episode, the Gulf War. This one is a doozy. It's so yeah, as I was saying, we had Scarioki, which was fantabulous, Into the Bunker, which was frickin' frintabulous, Gulf War, fantasy. Gulf War wasn't as good. I'd probably still put it top of C. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think that's good. The Gulf War had some great jokes. I'm not gonna lie, it was really funny throughout. It just didn't hit. It maybe a lot of these opinions are built off of the fact that the pacing of the show is very, very strange. The fact that we have episode 1 really, 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 really good, quite lore heavy, or at least progressing the story. Episode 2, really lore heavy. Episode 3, no. No lore. Episode 4, man, Bill Cipher is back. That's crazy story. That is crazy. Soos and the Real Girl, well, that's not really crazy story, but it's still, yeah, Little Gift Shop of Horrors. Like, I feel like it's the whiplash. But I guess, like, where else would they put these episodes? I know that there is one episode placement later on, which is very questionable. But I think as a whole, the series could have been structured a little bit better. Maybe some of these episodes could have been in season 1 even. But yeah. So, yeah, the reason I put the Gulf War there, the characters were funny. Pacifica was good in it. It was a very different vibe to normal. And that's about it. That is about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to comment on that. It was just an episode. It was just an episode that happened. So I was fine with it, but nothing special. So, speaking of special, sock opera. Yeah, this is where we start finding our groove again. Sock opera, incredible. Great episode. Once again, Bill Cipher is in it. It cannot be below an A. Sock opera, I would say, is top of A. Is it better than Scarioki? No, actually. I think it's... I'm just thinking of Scarioki and the fact that it introduced us to the fact that Grunkle Stan knew all along and he has more to hide and stuff. I feel like that was very big for that. Sock opera, great. Bill Cipher is back. He's doing some manic things. His eye, the moon became an eye or whatever. I don't even know what happened there. Oh yeah, it was a dream. But it was really, really cool. It was really cool all the way through. I'm actually going to put it above karaoke. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about what actually happens in sock opera. May even go bottom of S. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to treat myself. I think that's going to go bottom of S. I think it's a great episode. I think anything with Bill Cipher in it just kind of it propels it up the tier list for sure. Now, Soos and the Real Girl. I'm just sat here smiling. Again, you guys might be surprised by it. It's interesting that like the two video game ones are the ones that you guys might be surprised about, because I put Fight Fighters down here bottom of B. Soos and the Real Girl I would say is better than Fight Fighters, but I would still say Soos and the Real Girl it doesn't do anything for me. It was really funny. It was really ironic that this episode came out before Five Nights at Freddy's and Doki Doki Literature Club. I mean, maybe Doki Doki Literature Club could have taken inspiration from it, but like I don't think FNAF did because it was in development or whatever. Oh no, that's not how it worked. It was that Gravity Falls was in the production of this episode as Five Nights at Freddy's came out, I think, or something like that. I can't quite remember the specific details, but I know that neither of them like were connected in any way. There was no kind of inspiration or stealing at all. It just kind of happened naturally, and it was really weird that there were two pieces of media that came out around the same time in the same year, where it was like an animatronic pizzeria, and these animatronics are evil and possessed. Like that's crazy. That's a crazy coincidence. So yeah, Soos and the Real Girl. I really liked the villain of this. I think that Giffany was the star of the show in this episode. She was really, really threatening. It was quite scary to think about what has happened. And I liked that it was a Soos-centric episode. You know what? The more I'm talking about this, the more I'm liking this. I might just put it top of B. Top of B. Would it be above? I think it'd be above Gobblewonker. Above manliness? Sure. Wait. Okay, never mind. I thought I would put that way lower, but I'm thinking, is it better than these episodes? And the answer is yes. I think it's better than all these episodes. I don't think it's better than Land Before Swine, though. I think that is a peak episode. So fine. I'm fine with that. And I'm sure you guys are more okay with that. So now is one where I think we might all be in somewhat of an agreement. Little Gift Shop of Horrors, once again, has its redeeming qualities every way to Sunday. First of all, the Hand Witch. What a funny freaking character she is. That was hilarious. The claymation in this episode, wild. What do I wish that they did? I'm going to say it once again. I wish that they made these short stories into bigger episodes, into full episodes. Wouldn't it be so cool to have a whole episode exploring the horrors of this kind of this, what would you call it? Like studio where the claymation has come to life. I mean, it would be very similar to the that one episode, what's it called? I forgot it. Headhunters. Very similar to Headhunters with the wax figures. But like, it's very different because it can morph into whatever it wants to. Like, there's big concepts that could be taken from that and explored. And I feel like a lot of jokes could be made out of that. But they don't do that because they have very limited time. And they spend the limited time splitting the episode into mini episodes. And none of it is canon. So I'm not sure how to feel about this. Once again, it was really funny, and I think it is going in D, but I think it's going top of D because I think it has a lot of redeeming qualities. I also think that the ending is quite strange, how Grunkle Stan trapped the guy in there as just an attraction. It was just kind of, yeah, it was strange. It was weird that never came back up, but that's a thing that happened. And I think that's the perfect way to explain that episode. That's a thing that happened. I think that's a good way to explain it. Oh my gosh. Forgot that this episode happened. I don't know how I forgot. Society of the Blind Eye. Oh my god. After seeing a little gift shop of horrors, again, it was one of those reaction videos where I was like, it was the Whiplash again, but like, I had watched the episodes in that it were Sock Opera, which was like, wow, that was a really good episode. Soos and the Real Girl, which I was like, wow, that's an A episode. And then a D episode. And then by the end of that recording session, I felt a little bit demotivated. I was like, oh god, I have to make more of these videos. Then I step into that next video with that kind of attitude, and Society of the Blind Eye comes out. Absolutely mind blown. Yeah, I guess this is kind of the concept that really supports a lot of the future episodes. The fact that, oh my god, I even forgot about Old Man McGucket's backstory. But we'll talk about that. I think the thing that there's like this cult, or what seems like a cult at least, that is brainwashing themselves to forget things that they've seen in Gravity Falls. It makes so much freaking sense, and it's so tragic. So even just the concept, it's going an S. It's going an S. And I think that the actual episode's contents, it does the concept justice, I would say. So where would I put it in S? I would say, I feel like every time I look at S, I feel like there needs to be some reordering. So let's reorder this. So what's my favorite? I really like Sock Opera. Gideon Rises, fine. Dreamscaperers, great as well. So I think those two are fine. The Time Traveler's Pig is a great episode, but I think Sock Opera takes over it. I think it has to. And then I think even Society of the Blind Eye comes next. Then Time Traveler. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. I need to zoom in a little bit so that you guys can see more clearly. I'm hoping that you guys can actually see the text and stuff. But either way, there are images which kind of signify what's happening. But that is my tier list so far. So I'm happy with how it's going. Now we're getting into some of the crazier episodes, right? This is where there is a big shift in I guess the vibe of the series. Blendin's game. Wow, this was a sad episode. Wow. Blendin's game. Not even really that much about Blendin, but it was it took place mostly in 2077 or 2012. I can't remember. I think it was 2012. Either way, it was actually more focused on Soos and his tragic backstory. I think I said it in one of the reactions. We had an episode about kind of directed at the backstory of Old Man McGucket, and then we had one for Soos, and then we had one for Robbie, and then Pacifica, and then Stan, and then Ford, I guess. So that was quite cool that we kept getting backstories, and I think that was a very good thing that they did in season 2. And even the fact that they kind of hid it in season 1, but then kind of brought it up in season 2, I like that. Blendin's game, I would say, is a great episode. Not one of my favorites, funnily enough. I would say it's probably an A, based on how much I cried. Above Legend of the Gobblewonker, above Dipper vs. Manliness and Tourist Trapped, above Soos and the Real Girl. I would put it there. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Below Land Before Swine. I just don't think it I think Land Before Swine just had a really cool vibe to it, and I just really loved the adventurous nature of that. And Blendin's game was cool because we got to see back 10 years in the past, and Soos's backstory was just incredible, and the fact that he was offered a job at such a young age as well. Yeah, it was really tragic. Okay. Next episode, The Love God. I hate it when this happens because I really want to say that it was a good episode, but I can't bring myself to say it. This was just, again, it was the whiplash, right? We had, what did we have? We had, I've forgotten what we had. We had Society of the Blind Eye. This was one reaction video. We had Society of the Blind Eye, and then we had Blendin's game. No, this wasn't one. Never mind. But either way, we had Society of the Blind Eye, Blendin's game, and then immediately after we had Love God. And it was kind of like 2 episodes which were pretty big, pretty story driven, and just like, wow, random, like these characters like coming back and stuff. But then out of nowhere, The Love God, and I don't even know where to start with this. I think there were a few parts of it which I liked, which I can't think of right now because I didn't like any of it. No, there are parts of it that I liked. I didn't like The Love God. I don't think he was an interesting character at all, or it didn't captivate me at all. The Visionaire key for this was absolutely insane. We should do a tier list for that. No, I didn't like The Love God. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think it was below Boyz Crazy. I would probably put it there. The Love God. There was one really, really funny joke in it, which was I eat kids rather than, was it I heart kids? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Again, I really want to say these are good episodes, but some of them just didn't hit the mark like the others. But the bar is really high. I will say that the bar's so high, because literally episode after episode, I'm impressed. So yeah, and I laugh a lot throughout all of these episodes. So it's like, it is, yeah, I enjoyed watching. So Northwest Mansion Mystery. Oh my God. This is an episode where when I watched it, I wasn't crazy about it. I really enjoyed watching it while I was watching it, but it didn't click to me how amazing the episode was. It was so cool. I wasn't actually too interested in the story behind the lumberjack, I guess is what you call it. But it made a lot of sense to me. Yeah, it was the sort of thing of like the Northwest family were trying to keep out the poor, I guess. And that the fact that they got justice served to them by their own daughter. Okay. Here is the reason I love this episode so much. And I'm sorry for interrupting myself. Oh, no worries. Here's the reason I love this episode. It's because it redeems, it flips the tables. Oh my God. My words, my English. What is happening? Pacifica, I hated before watching this episode. Then I watched the episode and I loved her. It flipped it completely on its head in one episode. And the fact that it had the ability to do that is so crazy. It's so insane. Because you realize that like Pacifica has a reason behind this. And it's the fact that her family, that they just don't let her do, they're not letting her be free. And I think that Pacifica is a really great character throughout this, who like, I don't think everything that she does can be justified by it, but like, I think that it's, she has that kind of depth to her. And Dipsifica for life, baby. I wish that something happened between them. That would have been so cute. But I understand that this isn't a romance show. This is just an everything else show. Northwest Mansion Mystery. Let me think. Okay, I have thought. Where do you guys think I'm going to put this? Where do you guys think? What position? I think I'm actually struggling between two positions here. No, I'm not. Oh my god, I really am struggling. Okay, struggling between three. I think it's either here, here, or even here. I really like this episode. I didn't realize how much I liked it. You know what? I don't care. Tell me I'm crazy. I loved this episode. It was above Dreamscaperers. I can't believe I'm saying that. There was no Bill Cipher in this episode. What? No. Northwest Mansion Mystery was just wild. It was really, really good. So that's where I'm putting it. I think that it just changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I was quite interested and intrigued by the Northwest family. I think that it was quite an interesting story overall. So there you go. Okay, now we get into the crazy stuff. I mean, not what he seems. What can I say? It just has to be number one. I've seen that there is a whole video essay that someone has done on Not What He Seems. Maybe I'll have to do a video essay myself. I haven't watched it, by the way. I think there's actually book spoilers in there. But Not What He Seems, I don't even know what to say about it. Okay, here's what it is. We just came off of an amazing episode, aka Northwest Mansion Mystery. And we got into an episode, Not What He Seems. And the first scene that we see, I think the first thing that we see is to do with the portal opening up or whatever. And instantly, you feel tense, right? You just, like, it's kind of like a subconscious thing, but you kind of start to tense up, like, oh, it's happening. It might be in this episode. And so I love it. I absolutely love it. Because you feel tense throughout the entirety of the episode. There's no point in that episode where you're thinking, I could go and take a pee break right now and then come back and watch this. Like, no, you have to watch it all the way through. And I think the point where I realized this is going to be a huge episode is where they were in the garden playing. And Dipper and Mabel and Stan said, like, it's not usual for siblings to get along as well as you do. He said, wait, I just put that together. He said it's not usual for twins to get along like you do. That's a reference to him and his brother. Oh, that's wild. That's so cool. Yeah, it's not usual for twins to get along like you do. And then they keep doing fun activities, and you kind of start to question it because, like, they're doing fun activities, like something really bad is going to happen, and then he's like, guys, I have to tell you something, let me go and refill my soda, and he goes around the back and he gets captured by the government agents, and then all of that happens, absolutely wild stuff. It's a mad rush to the vending machine, and they find out that Stan isn't who he seems. Quite literally, he has loads of passports, he has loads of fake identities. Who the hell is Stan Pines? Stan Pines dead. Like, that blew my mind. And then they go down into the basement and they see the portal. They are about to switch it off, and then Stan comes through the door. Wait! Dead silence. For genuinely, I think like 3 or 4 seconds. 3 or 4 seconds of just silence. And that moment was one of the best moments of the entire series. Because in that moment, you see Stan come through the door. He says, wait, because pushing that button is going to do something bad. Like, it's probably going to do something good, but it means that everything that Stan has worked for in this entire series so far is worthless if they push that button. And you see him come through the door. It is so meaningful to him. You can see the expression on his face, wait, and then dead silence as the scene of him on one side of the room versus everybody else on the other side of the room shows. And it's just a freeze frame. I think it pans out a little bit, and it's just silence. And I think all you can hear in that scene is breathing. I think I might need to rewatch it because I can't quite remember exactly what happened. But I do, like, this is what I'm remembering in my brain. It might be a distorted memory, but nevertheless, it's how I perceive that episode, right? It's just him breathing as he's been rushing to get here. And that's all you can hear. And that moment, to me, that shot even, best shot in Gravity Falls. I don't know how else I can put it. I think that it was just mind-blowingly good. It was mind-blowingly good. So I think that is the main reason why it's the top of S tier, and I think it's going to stay there no matter what. I don't know, actually. We'll see with Weirdmageddon. But I think that the rest of that as well, the fact that there was like this fight, and oh my god, when Mabel, such an innocent young girl, got to the button, she was about to press it, and she was like, Grunkle Stan, I don't even know if you're my real Grunkle. And her tears started going up because of the gravity. It was so sad. Oh my god. I think I was crying doing all of that. I'm so sorry, by the way, if my reactions were really boring because I was just crying all the way through it. I swear in person I don't cry that much. But it was such an emotional moment, so that is the reason that is in S. So yeah. A Tale of Two Stands. So this is a longer episode for sure. It's absolutely wild. It's 30 minutes of insanity. Or no. I would say Not What He Seems is 30 or 20 minutes of insanity. I would say A Tale of Two Stands is 30 minutes of, oh my freaking god. This existed the whole time. This whole backstory that we've only just heard now. There are two stands. Wild. Absolutely wild. And of course, we did one whole reaction video on this. And so you can get all of my opinions on it from back when I did my reaction. But it was just so good. And it all made sense as well. And I started seeing the connection between Grunkle Stan and Mabel and Grunkle Ford and Dipper. So like, it was set up. It was foreshadowed every way to Sunday. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, I think, when we do the season 2 lore hunt. But it was wild. So this has to go in S as well. It's just, where in S does this go? I am going to say, this might be a bit insane. I'm going to say here. I think it was a great episode. I think, I think that's fine. It was very emotional. It had a lot of emotional value. I think I liked Northwest Mansion Mystery more. Or I think, like, looking back at the series, I like it more. Which is insane. I think that's actually surprising to me, even, that I put it there. But I just think that this is such a great, well-rounded, polished episode. And then Tale of Two Stands, like, it's still polished and it's still, like, really, really amazing story. It's just like, I think all of these are amazing. I don't know. Maybe there is no order I can put them in. Maybe they're all just freaking fantastic. To be honest, I think Not What He Seems needs to go on a different tier. I think it just needs to go on S star or something. because it's that good. I think there's probably nothing that could beat it. We'll see if there is something that can beat it later on. Dungeons, dungeons, and more dungeons. This is C tier. I'm sorry. This is C tier. It was just, I didn't like the villain of this. It felt very come and gone. I think it was really cool that we got a few like standard episodes with Ford in it. That was really cool. But like Roadside Attraction, we'll get to this. But Roadside Attraction, it was weird that this one was placed where it was, considering Ford existed and considering they just put the barrier up. But we'll talk about that. Dungeons, and more that's really hard to say. Dungeons, and more dungeons. I'm okay with it as an episode. I wasn't too into it because I've never actually played Dungeons and Dragons. It's not really my sort of thing. I think the Infinity Die was pretty cool. I'm gonna put this here. Yeah, that's final. That is final. Is it? I think it is. Okay, there's not much else to say about that. I just didn't like the villain. I wasn't too into the concept, and it didn't connect with me. Again, really funny jokes in there. I like that Ford was around, but that was that. The Stanturian candidate. Or candidate. Okay. Oh, this is so hard. This is so ridiculously hard, man. I don't know where to put this. This was an amazing episode. You know what? Maybe we should say there can't be more than 9 in each layer. Oh, that's a better thing. I think we should say there can't be more than 9 in each rank. So here we have 9. And I think that if we're going to put Stanturian candidate in S, one of these has to go down. I think that's fair. So maybe let's do 10 because that's a round number. Yeah, so this is going to go in S. I think this was perfect. I think this was perfect for Stan's character. And I think that just the fact that all of these people were going up for mayor was just a really, really funny concept. And I loved the character, the conversations that were happening, and the character development for some people. And I loved the idea of the tie that could possess people, I guess. No, it was a really great episode altogether. So this is going in S. This is going here. I think it was better than Into the Bunker. No, it's going bottom of S, which probably means it's going to eventually end up in A. But I think that's fair. I'm just wondering if you can see that. Okay, you know what? We're going to do 9 in each rank because you can't see that. So there you go. So the Stanturian candidate is going there. I don't know what that's a reference to, by the way. I don't know what the title of that is a reference to. Let me know in the comments below. But there you go. So, top of A. Cool. The last Mabel corn. This is a really hard one to rank because everything that... What did they do? What even happened in this episode? I think everything that Dipper and Ford did, I was really interested in. I was really invested in. But then the girls all went to this unicorn place. And I really didn't like the unicorns, which I would argue could be like a really good point for this episode because you're not supposed to like the unicorns. But I just didn't like how they were handled. I don't think the characters were interesting. I don't know. Again, I think this one's a hard one. but I'm going to, because I think there are a lot of redeeming qualities. Why are there flies? They just keep spawning. I think that there are redeeming qualities with the Ford and Dipper stuff that happened. And the fact that they protected the shack with the barrier, which is very important for the next episode. I think top of B, I would say. I think a lot of you might find it insane that the Legend of Gobblewonker is here compared to like the last Mabelcorn and Dungeons and more dungeons. I just think Gobblewonker was a really well-rounded episode, and I think that that's all that matters, right? Does it hold up as an episode in Gravity Falls? Yeah, I think it does. I think the last Mabelcorn has more flaws than Gobblewonker does. That's the sort of way I'm thinking about this. But either way, the reason it's not in C or D is because it has the great story elements, and it is funny. There were funny moments in it. All right. Next up. Next up, the one that you've been waiting for, I'm sure. Roadside attraction. So when I initially watched this, I was like, yeah, that was a pretty standard episode. And I heard that everybody else had rated it as their worst episode in the entire series. And I'm like, what's going on? It wasn't that bad. The reason it was, I would say half the reason it was really bad is because it had terrible placement. Literally such bad placement in this entire season. So the reason that it's a really badly placed episode, and I don't know how this happened really, because what happened is Ford is here. He doesn't show up in this episode at all. But also, they just put up a force field around the mystery shack, and they said that they said nothing can get in this force field, so we're not gonna leave, right? And Bill says, okay, I'm going to enter something from the outside, and then he enters Blendin eventually. But it was just so random that they put up this force field around the mystery shack. They said that they weren't going to leave. Bill Cipher even said he's going to possess someone on the outside and try and get in that way. And then they go on a freaking road trip. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with the scheduling of this episode in the grand scheme of things. I think it was a really weirdly placed episode. And even that means it has to be below B tier, right? What did I think of this episode, though? I think it was... I was genuinely really enjoying it up until they get to the spider part. And it's not because it was a spider. I just think it was very far-fetched and it was very out of nowhere. I didn't like the woman who turned into a spider. I didn't find her very interesting at all. So yeah, I think that... and I really liked the first half of the episode because I think it was really cool seeing other people's attractions and then them ruining it. I think that was really redeeming for this episode. And also Dipper like collecting lovers and then seeing them all in the same place at once, and he's ruined all of his chances. But that's just reminded me of one other huge flaw in this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Candy and Dipper. Where the freak did that come from? That came from absolutely nowhere. There was no setup for that. And also, it kind of just goes back on everything with Dipper and Wendy. Like, Dipper was fine with not being with Wendy, and then all of a sudden he's got all these photos of her and he's like pining over her still, no pun intended. It was really strange that came back up so late in the season after we had kind of cleared it off and said like, okay, cool, so that's the end of that. It was just weird that came back up, and then Candy liking Dipper, like it was a very weird nonchalant thing, or I don't know. It was just very out of nowhere. So that's another reason. So there were a lot of flaws with this episode. I still enjoyed it. I genuinely thought it was good. But it has to be a C or even a D. The thing is, do I think it's better than the inconveniencing? Yes. Irrational treasure? Yes. Headhunters? Yes. Deep end? Yes. Dungeons? Yes. The golf war? Yeah. I would actually say here. I think. That's where I would put it. And you guys are going to say that that's insane. Because right there, I've said that it is the 12th worst. Oh, wait. 12th, yeah. I've said that it's the 12th from the bottom. And in a series with 41 episodes, I guess, 41, 42 episodes, that is wild. But I think that I thought it was good. I thought it was good up until the halfway point, I would assume. And like, if the first half is really good and the last half is really bad, in my opinion, then it's going to go mid. But there were a lot of problems with it and stuff. So I would say top of C. So something that's not going to be top of C. Dipper and Mabel versus the future. Man, oh man. What a great freaking episode. So we get the kind of the cliffs. Why are they shaped like that? It's because it's a freaking UFO. I cannot believe, to be honest, that I didn't piece that together. I thought that made so much sense when it happened. It was just kind of weird that there was this UFO underground and like nobody had ever talked about it or seen it. Either way, yeah, really, really great. I loved seeing Ford and Dipper go on an adventure together. I actually wish that we saw more of that. I wish that there was maybe even another season where it's just like Ford and Dipper versus the world. Obviously that can't happen, but that would have been really cool to see more of them adventuring and doing cool stuff together. I don't know, maybe like even like a spin-off series where it's just Ford by himself, or like Ford and a partner or something. Like I really wanted to see more of Ford being cool and stuff. But in this circumstance, it was Dipper proving himself, and then taking up an offer that was going to be good for him, but not very good for Mabel. And that seems to happen a lot. We talked about that with the Time Traveler's Pig, with the fact that he has to sacrifice Mabel in order to get something good. So yeah, it's a strange dilemma, and I felt good and bad hearing it, right? Like you want to side with Dipper, but what about Mabel? Like, it's so tragic. And oh my god, Mabel had the worst day ever in this episode. I cannot think of a worse day. She goes to the school thinking, oh yeah, high school is going to be freaking great. And all of these teenagers are telling her it's not going to be good at all. She sees Wendy, probably one of the coolest people ever, get bullied, right? And then she's trying to organize a birthday party. She goes to Grenda and Candy's house, and they tell her that they're not going to be there. And then she gets home, she's all depressed, and she hears on the radio that Dipper might not be coming home with her. Like, that is the worst day of her life, right? It has to be. And then, of course, she runs away. She meets Blendin, who tricks her because it's actually Bill Cipher, and then it begins the Weirdmageddon. What a fantastic setup to the finale of the series. Fantastic. I might have to put this above Dreamscaperers. Wait, it's going here? No way. Yeah, it's going there. Maybe even here. I don't know. Northwest was good. No. It has to go there. Maybe even here. No, it's going there. It's going there. Absolutely peak. So good. Oh my god. I'm just thinking about Mabel having the most tragic day of the... It's so good. It's so good. Okay. So now we get into a tricky spot, I think, because I don't know what to do here. Oh, by the way, sorry. Into the bunker goes down to A, which I think is fair, actually. I think it's fair. I think maybe putting an S was giving it a bit too much credit. So here we go. And actually, now that I see it, Legend of the Gobblewonker, probably B is fine as well. So, Weirdmageddon Part 1. So, let's just kind of think about this. So, Weirdmageddon Part 1 is initially where Bill Cipher comes down and he's talking to the townspeople and all of these new creatures are coming in. It's a bit wild. And then Dipper finds Wendy, and then Wendy and Dipper go and find Gideon, and then Gideon is doing his thing or whatever, and then they're driving, and they bump into Soos, and then they tell Gideon that he can be loved if he is nice to people and stuff like that, and then he's like, he's convinced that he needs to go against Bill Cipher here, and then that's pretty much the end of the episode. So, maybe controversial opinion, I don't think Weirdmageddon 1 and 2 are nearly as good as Weirdmageddon 3. I think, maybe that's a very popular opinion, but like, I think to quite a big extent. I don't think, Weirdmageddon, I think just the concept of Weirdmageddon in general, S tier, 100%, obviously. I think it's absolutely peak. The intro, the fact that the intro finally changed, mad. Really, really cool. A lot of wild concepts in here. But in terms of singular episodes, in terms of how that goes, I think that the bottom of S, top of A is probably where I'm thinking. So, Weirdmageddon Part 1, because we're talking about that, I would say this would go above here, above Dreamscaperers, or would it? I don't know. I can't quite place it. I think maybe here. I think that's fair. So then this is the Time Traveler's Pig, which would go into A, and this is the Legend of the Gobblewonker, which goes into B. Fine, I'm completely fine with that. That is, yeah, that's good. So here we have Weirdmageddon 2, Escape from Reality. Here is where my controversial opinion might come out. First of all, Dippy Fresh, S tier. No, I think that this is the worst of the Weirdmageddons. I didn't connect with it as well. I think that it was a really, really, really cool concept. Mabel is in this kind of bubble reality and it's whatever she wants. Like, how do you get her out of that? I don't understand how they got her out of that in the end. Dipper fought this huge case in a courtroom. But I don't know how it convinced her. I think that was a bit of a stretch. Because, like, if it's everything that you want, it's just, like, how, you wouldn't want to leave. I don't know. It was just the whole thing of, like, the whole spiel of Mabel not wanting to grow up. But they're trying to bring her back to reality, but they can't. Because Mabel doesn't want to grow up. Like, it's so tragic. It's really tragic. With that being said, I don't think it's up there as one of the best episodes, to be honest. I find it mad that Society of the Blind Eye and Sock Opera are going down to A. But Weirdmageddon 2, Escape from Reality, I would put... I'd put it here. I'm going to put it at bottom of S. Which means Society of the Blind Eye is going down to A. Dipper versus Manliness is down to B. Okay. And then Weirdmageddon 3. Actually, this is... I was going to do a really easy decision here and just put it here. But I don't know which one is better here. Not What He Seems, or Weirdmageddon 3? I'm gonna say... Oh, that's a really hard decision. Well, let me know in the comments. If there's one thing I want you guys to let me know in the comments, it's what would you pick out of these two? Not What He Seems or Weirdmageddon 3? So I feel like this is a bit of cheating because Weirdmageddon 3 is technically 2 episodes, but kind of not. Anyway, Weirdmageddon 3 is arguably the best episode because it's, of course, the end. Well, no. It's not the best episode because it's the end. That's like saying the best subject at school is lunch. I think that it is potentially the best episode because it's so sad. And you saw me break down in tears because the thought... okay, I'm actually going to keep it here, and I'll tell you why in a second. The thought of all of it happening is tragic. It's the Stan losing his mind. I have no words for it. I might break down into tears now. The Bill Cipher was just an awesome character throughout as well. You know what? I'm just gonna get straight into the but here. So this might be a controversial opinion, and it might be because I'm into horror stuff and like tragic and horrible stories about people, which is a bit dark, but I'm quite into dark stories. So I'm going to preface with that. I think that the series would have ended better. No, I don't. I think it was a little bit of a cheat to have Stan lose his mind and then for them to bring it back with the scrapbook. Now, there are going to be comments that say it makes so much sense. Because, yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense that would happen. I just think it's a bit cheesy. I think it was a little... It was on the verge of cheesy. Yeah, I think that's my only gripe with this episode. I think everything else, stunning, amazing, best animation, freaking top tier, as you can see, top tier, top quality animation and storyline. I think this is my only gripe, is that like it feels like a little bit of like we're going back on things. But I understand that, and I had these comments in my final video. I understand now that the memory gun, it doesn't permanently delete your memories. You can get them back, which is how Old Man McGucket actually got his memory restored. So I think that maybe that was just something that I missed and didn't think too hard about when I did that reaction. But I still think it's a little bit off. Like, I think it would have been even more emotional if they just left it off as Stan has lost his mind forever and they have to restart this whole family. I think that would have been a much more tragic ending. But the fact that it doesn't go that way is also, it's good because it's a happy ending. Everybody's happy. And also it means that Stan and Ford can finally go on their little boating adventure, which kind of brings it all full circle and makes it amazing. So I am happy that it ended the way it did. I just felt that was a little part where I was like, it's a little bit cheesy, a little bit like, yeah. I hope you understand that. I'm trying to describe as best as I can, but maybe it won't come across as well. Anyway, that is my final ranking. My favorite episode is Not What He Seems. My least favorite is Boyz Crazy. I don't think that's too bad of an opinion. Those two opinions. It's just kind of what comes between is there you go. But here you can see, I mean, you can do the stats on this if you want to, but we have 2 Weirdmageddons in S and we have 1 in A. But obviously I would say Weirdmageddon overall is an S. Like if it's one big episode, if we're counting it as one big episode, it's the best. It's the best of the best. Not What He Seems, I would say, is S, because as an episode, it is the best quality all the way through. It is the most well-rounded episode, and it is an episode that made me feel every single emotion, not in a way that was explosive and overwhelming, but in a way that made me feel tense all the way through the episode. And it was a great episode to kind of transition from one part of the series to another. And I think that is the reason that it's an S. And Boyz Crazy, it was just terrible in every way. I'm not gonna lie. No chill. It was just, yeah. Obviously, every episode, as I have said, has its redeeming qualities, and there are parts of this where I would change things. Like there are a lot of episodes, especially in A and S, where it could go either way. Like a lot of these could switch, but this is kind of my opinion in general. Tell me, guys, in the comments what you guys would change. Tell me, I am very curious to hear what you think about Not What He Seems versus Weirdmageddon 3. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to say Weirdmageddon 3. Is there anything here I'm surprised about? I think Northwest Mansion Mystery, I am very surprised that has come in 5th. But I have realized while recording this that it is just overall such a freaking good episode. Yeah. And I'm kind of surprised A Tale of Two Stands is quite low, but I have put it there for a reason. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I put it there, but there you go. I think that is my final tier list. Feel free to make your own and share it with me on social media. That actually took a lot longer than I was thinking it would, but that's good, right? Because you guys like the long form content, huh? You guys like it. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. More Gravity Falls content is going to come in the near future. It might not be daily, and it may not be every other day, but it is at least going to be weekly. You can hold me to that, and if it isn't weekly, then you can shoot me in the head. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Later.